The winter wind howled through the towering evergreens of northern Canada as the Brown family's car crunched over the snow-laden trail, finally stopping near the quiet shores of frozen Pine Lake. Snow stretched endlessly in every direction, untouched and glittering under a pale afternoon sun. Lucas, a spirited 5-year-old with bright eyes and a red pom-pom hat, pressed his nose to the window, marveling at the frozen lake and tall white trees. Behind him, Max, the Labrador retriever, wasn't there, not physically, at least, but Lucas talked about him the entire ride. "I wish Max was here, Mommy," Lucas murmured. Lily turned from the front seat and smiled warmly. "He'll be waiting for you when we get back. Sweetheart, just one weekend without him, okay?" Lucas nodded reluctantly. Max wasn't just a pet. He was his best friend, his playmate, his guardian. Born just a month after Lucas, Max had come into their lives as a tiny, wriggling puppy, smaller than his 2 siblings but twice as lively. Since then, they'd grown side by side like brothers. As the family began setting up camp, the air turned colder. Mr. Brown hammered stakes into the snowy ground while Lily unrolled sleeping bags inside their tent. Lucas, bundled in a thick coat, wandered around looking for twigs to help with the fire. A flicker of movement caught his eye, a squirrel leaping from branch to branch. Giggling, Lucas followed it, stumbling over soft drifts and giggling as the squirrel darted just ahead. One tree led to another, then another, and soon the quiet sounds of the campsite faded behind him. It wasn't until the squirrel disappeared that Lucas realized he'd gone too far. The trees looked unfamiliar, the snow was deeper, the light was dimming. "Mommy?" he called. "Daddy?" No answer, just the wind. Back at the camp, Lily called out, "Lucas, time for dinner." When there was no response, Mr. Brown stood up straight, his brow furrowing. "Lucas?" They both began shouting, walking the perimeter, but their hearts sank when they saw no sign of their son. Mr. Brown spotted faint footprints trailing off toward the trees and took off running. Lily right behind him, but the trail soon vanished, covered by fresh snowfall. Panic rising in her throat, Lily grabbed her phone and called the rescue team. Within 30 minutes, 2 snowmobiles arrived, headlights piercing the growing darkness. But no one noticed a yellow Labrador, tail low, silently trotting behind them into the woods. Max had arrived. No one knew how he had made it there. His home was nearly 10 kilometers away, and his owners had thought he was sleeping in the garage that afternoon. But something had stirred deep inside him, something stronger than instinct. It was love, a bond. Max's nose skimmed the snow, tail flicking as he picked up Lucas's fading scent. Ignoring the calls from the rescue team, he bounded deeper into the forest, his paws barely making a sound in the thick white. The search expanded to a 2-mile radius. The temperature had dropped to -15 degrees Celsius. Flashlights flickered, radios crackled. 3 hours passed. Hope began to thin like the icy wind. Then, a bark, sharp, urgent, carried by the wind. The rescuers froze, then bolted toward the sound. At the edge of a thicket, under the low branches of a pine tree, they found Max. He was lying curled over Lucas, his thick coat shielding the boy's small body. His tongue gently licked Lucas's cheeks and nose, keeping him awake, keeping him alive. Lucas's face was pale but his eyes fluttered open when he heard his name. "Daddy?" he whispered. Mr. Brown dropped to his knees and scooped him into his arms, tears freezing on his cheeks. Lily sobbed, wrapping herself around them. A flare shot into the sky, its red light blazing against the snow-heavy clouds. Minutes later, the distant thump of helicopter blades filled the air. A medic team rushed in, wrapping Lucas in thermal blankets. The pilot's voice crackled through the headset, "He's stable. Let's move." As they lifted off, Max remained on the ground, looking up at the helicopter. A rescuer knelt beside him. "You just saved that boy's life," he whispered. Lucas made a full recovery. The doctors said 30 more minutes and the cold might have claimed him. The local news featured the story the very next day, praising the brave Labrador. But the most astonishing part remained a mystery. Max had not been brought on the trip. He had somehow sensed that Lucas was in danger and had found his way to him across kilometers of snow, forest, and ice. His owners were stunned. He never even left the yard on his own before, they said, but yesterday, he was gone. When asked how he did it, Lucas, still bundled in hospital blankets, answered simply, "Max always knows when I need him." And maybe that was true. Because the bond they shared wasn't something you could see or measure. It wasn't built with commands or leashes or tricks. It was born in a moment, two tiny souls brought into the world a month apart and united in the warm, innocent friendship of boy and dog. That night, as Lucas drifted to sleep in the hospital bed, Max lay curled at his side, just as he had in the snow. His eyes closed, his ears flicked gently. Peaceful. Home. This heartwarming tale reminds us of the unseen, powerful connection between humans and animals. Love, loyalty, and kindness can transcend even the harshest challenges, and sometimes, that bond can be strong enough to save a life.